Where did you go to learn how to be a woman? Think about it. Most of us go through 2 decades of education without ever learning the skill of mind management, emotional command, building a routine, learning to say no to yourselves, communicating our boundaries effectively, learning how to ask for help, learning how to say no to people, hold people accountable. These are non-negotiable skills to protect our peace of mind and flourish as a woman. And yet, we expect perfection from women without proper preparation. My name is January Donovan. I'm the founder of the Women's School, where I've trained thousands and thousands of women in the last 25 years to learn the mindset and skill set necessary to flourish in every arena of our lives. Because if we are honest, we all share a universal desire for wholeness. We want to be strong, inspiring, beautiful women who are fulfilled. We want to be mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually strong. We want friendships that are meaningful, that hold us accountable to becoming a better version of ourselves. We want marriages and relationships that are thriving, that gets better every single year. We want to find work that fulfills our purpose, but also work that brings value to society, that maximizes our potential. We want to have a home that allows us to feel like it's a refuge, a place that we love to be with. We want to be able to have wealth, meaning more than enough, so we're not constantly struggling, where to find the next money to pay a paycheck, or perhaps not having enough time to do the most important things in life. We want to have families that are flourishing, that are children that are disciplined, that are contributing value in the world. That is the universal desire of a woman's heart. That is a life of wholeness. And so often we compromise the very thing that we desire simply because we don't believe we deserve it, or we simply don't know how to achieve it. But the truth is that women were never trained with the necessary skills they need to flourish in every season of their life. If you think about lawyers, doctors, teachers, and every other profession gets training except for the most foundational training of all, which is the art of being a woman. Art comes from the Latin word skills. And so it's important, I think, for women to understand that we all are coming into this state of our culture with a massive deficit of lack of training. Why is that important? Because most of us feel blame and shame because our life is not the way we want it, when the truth is that nobody ever showed us how. And so we have to have mercy, and we have to look at our lives with kindness if it's not where we are, because nobody ever showed us how. But it is also true that we are responsible for our life now and in the future, and that we can do something about it. And that is our mission in the Women's School, is to become the school that finally gives women access to the training that we need in a world that suffers with mental health, that suffers with obesity, that suffers with relationship unfulfillment, that suffers with this chaotic understanding of motherhood. We want to give you the skills that you need to achieve the life that you want, the life that is whole, inspiring, and beautiful, because at the end of the day, that's the universal desire of a woman's heart, is to flourish. It's God's design for us. We just need to know the how. And so I'm going to do 3 things. Number 1, I'm going to talk to you about just the crisis of where we are so you understand the magnitude of it. Number 2, what's the solution? And then number 3, I'm going to invite you into the journey of wholeness. So let's just paint the picture of the crisis right now. Number 1, we've been living in this sort of the last, I would say 150 years, where women had very limited freedom. And so, yes, women's rights and the ability for us to have equal right was a necessary movement. But so we've kind of gone the radical extreme from limited freedom to unlimited freedom. And so women today are fighting for freedom, but data tells us that in spite of all the freedom that women have in the West, women are not happy. They're not flourishing. And we have data that tells us that, 1 out of 5 women are an antidepressant. And so what's missing? What's missing is training. Women today have no access to training. We don't even have home economics anymore. We don't have budgeting skills. We don't have decision-making skills. We make an average of 25,000 decisions a day, and we don't have decision-making skills after we graduate college, not just even our, primary or high school education. That's a deficit because our lives are built on our decisions. And so learning how to make decisions before we sit in the anxiety of indecision is crucial to create the flourishing life that we want and not be robbed of the peace of mind that we all desperately desire. So that's a massive crisis, a lack of training. And I think understanding also the state of our culture, there's a lot of false understanding of culture, of women's empowerment, of rah, that's also really lacks the depth and lacks truth. And I think there's a lot of lies about women that brings men and women in odds with each other. And that brings me to crisis number 2. I think that we can't learn how to be a woman apart from also learning to understand men. I think think we are made by God to complement each other. The more I understand myself as a woman, the more I am able to understand men as they are. Now, it doesn't mean that we have to be confined to specific gender roles, because my husband helps a lot in the house and I also help make decisions, but that we live a life of excellence, both in our in our femininity, and also men, we inspire them to live a life of excellence in their masculinity. But I think there needs to be a revival of masculine and feminine excellence, but that is working together and not apart from it. Because we have created such a genderless world that we go through 2 decades of education that talks to us as though the things that we deal with as women are the same as the things that we deal with as men. And I think it's important for us, especially of mothers, of boys, to understand that we're just made different and that we can celebrate a difference and that we are equal, different, but that we honor that by working together. And I think that brings me to crisis number 3, is that we are creating a sort of this mental health dilemma, and that our institutions currently are talking about the crisis of, I would say, mental health, but not focusing on the solution. We are steeped into therapy, steeped into trauma, steeped into all the different things that is the problem, but not really focusing on creating a solution that is part of the infrastructure. Right? And we know that because we have education that really focuses on intellectual formation, how much we know, but not actually the basic foundational skills of relationship and connection. And so I think as a solution, what we need to do is to focus on the integrated version of the woman. I think that we have to create an infrastructure that integrates the whole woman, because at the end of the day, we're just different from men, but we can't just push achievement of how much money you should make, what position you have, apart from motherhood, apart from the fact that we want strong marriages. I think that we need to start integrating the whole woman when we talk about it institutionally. So that's the crisis that I think you and I are suffering today, because we are living in a culture that does not value the integrated version of the woman. So what's the solution? Number 1, we're the solution. We have to begin with our taking ownership and responsibility of our life of excellence. That being a woman is something that we have to own, and the skills that we need to build to create the life that we deeply desire. So that is the first step, is what are the skills that I need in order to create a flourishing life in every part of my life? I think that we're never going to solve the problem unless you, me, and every woman takes ownership and her own training. And I say training because gymnasts train every single day. And when you look at them and when they do the routine, it seems like it's flawless. But the hundreds of skills necessary to create that flawless dance is because they have trained every single day. And I think that we as women need to take ownership in our training. Number 2, we need to be a voice and advocate for masculinity and femininity that is ordered towards truth. I think the solution is that we train so that we are whole, but then we go out to the world and we become an inspiration, not because so much of what we're loud and we proclaim, but what we live it in a way that inspires other people. So much more living and so much more inspiring than having to just preach. And so I think the solution is that we have to own our training and then make that an inspiration to the world. And last, I want to personally invite you to join the new Woman Masterclass. This is the most comprehensive, practical, life-changing course you will ever receive as a woman. It is 25 years in the making. It is the most complete, comprehensive course that I truly believe will transform your life in ways that you've never imagined. And it has for thousands of women. And the transformation is not just going to be for you, but it will be for your children, your marriages, your career, and your community. And you will see it, and people will see it, and it will change the way you view yourself as a woman. Join thousands of women across 40 plus countries that are taking ownership and their role as a woman and as a nurturer in society. This is the class that every woman needs. And I truly believe that the life of wholeness that you deeply desire is yours if you want it. Join us in this movement to make women whole again.